Hello, welcome back to Fallout 76. I'm making this video because I'm seeing a disturbing trend. People going for backpack mod plans are actually doing the Pioneer challenges. That's a bad idea, don't do that. Let me show you how to get the plans for the backpack and the mods in the easiest possible way. What I mean is by doing the fewest possible challenges. I'll start with a new character so you can see that anybody can do it. For the run I'll be using the Commando template because it gives you some of the weapons you need. Oh look, it's a nuke event. So question, does this count as a speed run of the overseas main quest? I've just killed the final boss. Appalachia's now safe, right? Or at least it would be if it wasn't filled with maniacs launching nukes left, right and center. Yeah, that means us. Ah yes, like I was saying, we'll be playing with a quote-unquote fresh new character straight out of the vault. Never seen a Scorch Queen beast in his life. The first step is to become a tadpole. This quest would naturally start when you ran into the posters at rail stations, but you can't bypass that by making it to the Pioneer Scout camp in the Toxic Valley. The easiest route is to follow the road, skirt north of Morgantown, past the dam, and up to the camp. Once you're there, speak to the robot.
Of America, you are hereby assigned the rank of tadpole.
Now you're on your way to become a true scout. There's 4 tasks that you need to complete.
It's a good idea to regularly sharpen your fishing hooks with a metal file.
The toughest one is to revive another player. If you know someone who can play with you, then the revive challenges are pretty easy. But for most people, the best way is to join a public event. Luckily the alien invasion was on at the time, because people die a lot to the brain scanners. I got mistaken for a new player, but full credit to Catapan for being a nice guy. Thumbs up for keeping the community spirit going. Give yourself a pat on the back. The invasion is a bit rough for a new character like me, but if you try and avoid the big clumps of aliens, you should be okay. Don't try to kill enemies, just tag them and move on to the next one. Let the guys with cremators finish them off. The same tips apply to big events like eviction notice, and lots of people tend to die at big events like these. And I'm no exception, it seems. Someone else died at the same time, and I thought my chance was gone. But just as the general was going down, someone does the save me emote. I can't see shit, but I sprint my ass in their general direction and just managed to press the button to inject them, but they died, and I died for the umpteenth time this event. Luckily it turns out that just injecting them counts against the objective. This is by far the most difficult of the requirements, and I was pretty fortunate to get it so easily. Other good events to revive players at are Moonshine Jamboree and Eviction Notice, but you should do every event just in case. The point is that the more players around, the better your chances of someone needing to be revived. Daily ops are good too, especially the ones with double mutations. Another fortunate thing was that the alien invasion happened very close to the Pioneer camp in the Maya region. Normally finding the camp takes a bit of time, so join groups and see if a player or their camp or tent is in the region. Fast travel to it and discover at least one location in the Maya. You can use events in the same way to fast travel to the Maya. Once you know at least one location in the Maya, you can save time by fast traveling to it, even if you have to pay caps. Speaking to the robot will start the Sting and Things daily quest.
I feel a certain swell of pride when I see a scout in uniform.
By default, it sends you to locations that are guaranteed to have each type of insect, but it doesn't matter where you get them from. The goal is to get insect parts. I recommend doing the camp tails and tea time events every time they come up. If there's enough demand, I may put together separate guides on how to do these events, but they give you lots of insects, so they're by far the easiest way to get insect parts. You should end up with lots of guaranteed blood bugs and blood flies, and very likely some of the other insects you need. Keep the parts in your stash until you need to complete the daily quest. Don't put them into the scrap box, that will break them down. There's a guaranteed roach in the storage closet at the Pioneer camp in the mire, but it's behind a hard lock, so you may not be able to get it early on. Another place to get roaches is Mama Dolce's, where the Feed the People event happens. If you get there early enough, you can pick up some roach meat. Roaches are common enough that you should get enough by just playing.
Approach and identify yourself.
The best place to get ticks is right behind the camp office. Stingwings can be found south of the White Spring. Look for the small building for a couple. And the ranger cabin behind the Pioneer Scout camp in the mire tends to have a few insects, so it's not bad to check every time you come here. Another tip is to set up a camp or tent at this location. You'll be coming back at least once a day, so this will save you quite a few camps. This objective involves cleaning up nuclear waste, or more accurately,
Can you say toxic mutagenic waste?
can you say toxic mutagenic waste? There's a good scout. This is another daily quest that sends you to nearby locations. You're supposed to clean up 5 clumps of nuclear waste. This time we get sent to the corporate encampment, but you might also be sent south to the ruins of the town. It's fairly straightforward, and the biggest issue is dealing with the enemies. If you have a hazmat suit or power armor, you can reduce the radiation damage you take by doing this. Once you're done, go back to the scout camp and deposit the waste in the blue barrels. Unfortunately, you also need to do 3 tadpole challenges. You find those under the challenges section and the world sub section. Any 3 will do, but I highly recommend the Archer, Athletics and Hunter challenges. They're the easiest ones, and you'll be thanking me if you follow my advice. Make sure you do the exams next time you're at the Scout camp or Camp Adams. You can look up the answers in the wiki. I'll put a link to the page in the description. Everything else requires either crafting recipes or a camera, and early on it's unlikely that you'll have the things you need. You can still do them to get more badges for tadpole rewards, but when you're trying to get a bigger backpack as soon as possible, the challenges I mentioned are the ones to go for. Another way to get tadpole badges is to do the Operation Tidy and clean up nuclear waste. You can do it every day, and there's a 25% chance of getting a tadpole badge, but only if you haven't yet finished the quest and become a possum. So if there's something from the tadpole vendor that you really want, then hold off on progressing to possum until you've got enough tadpole badges. You'll need to acquire a crossbow. The plans are found at the archery section of the Pioneer Scout camp in the Toxic Valley. It's at the far edge, and you can get there by skirting behind the buildings and crossing a small bridge. Once you have the plans, legendary versions will start to drop, so you can't wait for that to happen. Constructing a crossbow requires a couple of levels of the gunsmith perk. If you don't have it, another option is to pick it up from a guaranteed location, like the Palace of the Winding Path, where the guided meditation event happens. You spawn just outside the gates if you fast travel to it. From here you can see the complex to your right, but you want to go left. Keep going down until you see a flat rock formation, and you'll see a table with a crossbow and some bolts. It's right opposite the archery targets. Or just buy it. This vendor has a chance of having it in stock. It's a good idea to repair it right away. That will be one of the 3 repairs you need. The shooting test takes place at the range, and it's all about hitting bullseyes. If you need ammunition, there should be 6 bolts on the table. Unfortunately, you can't cheese it by bashing the targets, although it may be possible to use throwing knives. Either way, the test is easy enough that you shouldn't have any issues. Watch out for obstacles and change your perspective to give yourself a better chance. The skeleton draped over one of the targets is the trickiest part. All the other ones should be pretty easy to get.
Congratulations! Now you're a certified stealth sniper.
Just play with the bow for a bit to get the 50 kills. If you want to farm enemies, then the Morgantown airport is a great location for sneak headshotting. Do a second repair after you've killed at least 20 or 30 enemies. Then the last one after you've met all the other goals for the badge. The Hunter Challenge is all about rats, stags and Yao Guais. You should have most of the weapons you need, but if you need a black powder weapon, then you can find one at the northern edge of the map. The Philippi Cemetery has a guaranteed knife and a black powder pistol. If you want, you can also cosplay as a Civil War soldier. And there's a guaranteed syringer at the New River Gorge Bridge, just to the east of Flatwoods. Ideally, you should try and avoid falling to your death. It's in a trail in the middle of the bridge. While you're here, you can also complete the athletics challenge to run the bridge. You can find rat stacks at the White Spring. Go past the fountain and around this building. There should be a couple of rat stacks that you can kill. Check the northern side too. There's a spawn point there too. For Yao Guai, there's a guaranteed spawn just in front of the Pioneer Scout camp in the Maya. If you check the area behind the cabin, you may also run into another bear. The syringe challenge is tricky because it barely scratches the bears. One way to kill the bear is to scrap syringes until you've unlocked one that does a bit more damage, like poison, and rely on that to kill the bear. But just holding the weapon when the enemy dies is good enough. You can weaken it with another weapon, then use grenades to kill the bear. Even if you have to use yourself as bait. For wolves, you can travel to the Autumn cabin in the Savage Divide. There's a guaranteed pack. Unless you're trying to do this challenge when there's some kind of event involving those animals, there should be plenty of animals at these spots. At worst, you may have to serve a hop by exit into the menu, then rejoin after a minute or two. As you level up, you should be increasing your strength and agility to at least 5. There seems to be a bug where you need 6 agility to actually meet the challenge, but otherwise this should be easy to do. Running the courses is pretty straightforward, and you can do them in any order. I'll start with the Sunny Top ski lanes. Go around the buildings to the northern side. There's no need to actually go into the compound or fight the mutants. You'll find the start of the course next to 2 lift chairs to the left. This course has quite a few traps, but if you're doing it in first person, you should be able to spot them a bit easier than in third person. Then comes Camp Venture. The course is to the west, outside the camp. Again, there's no need to actually enter the camp or fight enemies. Failure doesn't matter, you can try as many times as you like.
Here's the rules.
Sometimes the gates don't register immediately, so a short pause at each one is not a bad idea.
You win. You did it. You managed to do something.
The last one is at the New River Gorge Bridge.
This is it. Your final race. Hopefully it's not your final race, but who knows? Death comes for us all eventually. Get set. Go.
There's quite a few points where you have to drop down, and it's best to avoid fighting enemies at all, or kill them before you try the race. Taking some birthday cake or coffee from other player camps is not a bad idea before you do this race. If you hotkey them, you can eat them to replenish your action points, and that way you can keep sprinting past enemies. Overall, the races are pretty straightforward.
Completed your running requirements for your
If you follow this guide, you should have all the quest requirements. Now it's time to become a Possum Scout.
I am pleased to grant you the rank of Possum.
You'll get a backpack painted with the Possum paint. That backpack has double the capacity of the small backpacks you've had up to now. And the quest will also give you access to the plan and the paint. Backpacks can be remade every 10 levels up to level 50 to increase its capacity. The maximum will be 60 carry capacity. Of course, that only works outside power armor. The game removes all your normal armor when you get into one, so keep that in mind if you're relying on the backpack to keep you unencumbered. But if you want tadpole items, you can still do the other tadpole challenges to get badges. Becoming a possum also gives you the ability to earn possum badges and use those to buy backpack mods, among other things. The best mod, in my opinion, is a high capacity mod for double you carry bonus. That will give you 120 extra capacity total. But the refrigerated mod is also an option to reduce your spoilage on your food items by half. Personally, I prefer the good with salt perk because it reduces spoilage by 90%, and the backpack does not stack with the perk. You can also buy the grocers and the chemist mods for the backpack. They work exactly like the equivalent perks by reducing the weight of food and aid items by 90%. You normally need at least friendly reputation with either the raiders or the settlers, but the easiest way is to wait for Minerva to get it. No reputation required and it's cheaper. If you still want to get reputation with the factions, then do the daily quests at their camps, plus the Moonshine Jamboree and the Eviction Notice events. I've got separate guides on those events if you need help. The reason I don't use those two mods is that they stop working in power armor, while the perk always works. There's still good options for people that need to free up perks or just don't ever use power armor. There's two ways to get Possum badges. One is to do the Possum challenges, but they're very grindy if you're actively looking to do them. That's the dumb way. The smart way is to do scout activities instead. Do Operation Tidy to clean up nuclear waste and stings and wings to get insect parts. You can do them once a day and there's a 25% chance to get a Possum badge as a reward. Both give you pemmican too, which is a meat that doesn't rot and is a great source of food. And the insect repellent from stings and wings, which reduces damages from insects by 15%. That's very handy because you also want to be doing campfire tales every time it pops up. There's lots of insects and you also have a 25% chance of getting a Possum badge. Another event to do is tea time. You don't get a badge, but there's lots of insects that you can use to stock up for stings and wings. Project Paradise is another option for insect parts. But if you're lower level, it may be difficult, so you should only do it if there's a lot of players there to carry you. If you do these 4 things every day, then you're going to get a fair number of badges without having to do any of the onerous challenges. You'll probably still end up with badges from just playing, but it's so much easier to also get them from events, especially if you're trying to get the mods as soon as possible. It's impossible to say how many days it will take to get enough badges for the mods you want, but in terms of actual time spent doing challenges, this is far more effective. Eventually you'll get the upgrades you want, and you'll also end up with more legendary cores, treasury notes, and legendary items than if you'd gone around doing the challenges. It's just more effective. So there you go. This is by far the easiest way to get the big backpack and the backpack mods to increase its capacity. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.